When you extend or alter a domestic property, do you have to upgrade all of the fire detectors? Or does it depend on the type of extension you have? In this video, we are finding out what should happen to your fire detection in a variety of extensions. Dormer bungalows, loft conversions, and extensions under permitted development. Do we have to upgrade the whole system in the property or just focus on the work we are doing? And how easy is it to upgrade these systems to remain compliant with Part B of building control? Let's find out. Before we look at any particular type of extension, we need to get one thing straight. Fire detection in a domestic property is not assessed room by room. It is assessed as a system across the whole dwelling. Approved document B is not interested in whether you have added one new smoke alarm in a new space. It is concerned with how a fire might start, how smoke could spread, and how occupants would escape the building. Those things are affected by layout, not the size of the work. So the moment you extend or alter a property, you have the potential to alter the fire strategy. You might change escape routes, you might change travel distances, you might introduce open plan layouts where fire and smoke can spread more easily. Let's take this single story bungalow. Take the roof off and we can see that in the event of a fire there is a clear escape out of the property. We have the window at the front of the living room, windows in the bedroom and the back door. We also have a route through here if a fire was to start in this location and block the escape this way. This is why planning permission is not the trigger for a fire system upgrade. Risk is. And risk is assessed by building control against the whole house, not just the new work. This does not mean every extension automatically requires a full fire alarm upgrade, but it does mean that the existing fire detection system can never be ignored. Let's start with the smallest and most common type of work. Extensions carried out under permitted development. Permitted development sits within planning legislation, not the building regulations. They allow certain types of work to be carried out without applying for full planning permission. Typically, this means single-story rear extensions within defined depth limits, limited heights, and limited coverage of the original curtilage of the property. Rules change depending on planning locations, so be sure to check your local authority's rules to permitted development. Even though you don't need to apply for planning permission, you still need to notify building control because the work is notifiable, which also means we need to consider the fire detection for the whole property. Now, this is where Part B becomes important. The baseline requirement for dwellings is a Grade D2 Category LD3 system installed in accordance with BS 5839 Part 6. That means mains powered smoke alarms with standby supply, normally located in circulation spaces that form part of the escape route. So when we extend a property under permitted development, the first question is not how big the extension is. The first question is whether we have triggered a material alteration under Part B. For example, if a new habitable room is provided above or below the ground story, fire detection must be installed or upgraded accordingly. If a new habitable room is provided at ground story level without a direct final exit, that also becomes a trigger. And once the escape strategy changes, the fire detection strategy must follow it. Now that sounds straightforward enough when we're considering standard rear extensions. But what about conservatories? A conservatory does not normally require building control notifications if it's less than 30 square meters, thermally separated from the dwelling by external quality doors, and does not involve structural alteration. If it remains separated, it is not treated as part of the dwelling for fire strategy purposes. So additional fire detection in the conservatory is not normally required. But remove those separating doors and replace them with an open archway, or install a solid roof that changes the structure, then the conservatory becomes part of the dwelling in fire terms. Once that happens, the escape routes need to be reassessed. And the baseline LD3 requirements under BS 5839-6 apply to the circulation spaces serving that area. Again, the trigger is not the name of the structure, it is the impact on escape. What about loft conversions? Unlike small rear extensions, a loft conversion will almost always be notifiable to building control. Structural calculations for floor loadings, alterations to electrical circuits, and insulation requirements make these types of work very notifiable. In fire safety terms, the moment you add a new story, you increase escape distances. And increasing escape distances increases risk. If the new story results in the top floor being more than 4.5 meters above ground level, additional fire protection measures are required to protect the escape route. This usually means providing fire-resisting doors to rooms opening onto the stairs and ensuring the stair enclosure is protected. Now, at first glance, this appears to be a structural and door issue rather than a fire detection issue. But fire detection and structural protection work together, because if early warning can be improved, then the reliance on passive protection can sometimes be reduced. Under BS 5839 Part 6, loft conversions commonly require at least an LD2 level of protection. That means smoke alarms in circulation spaces and in principal habitable rooms with heat detection in kitchens. So in simple terms, introducing early warning systems can reduce the need for passive fire protection in certain layouts, but this will only work if the system is consistent across the whole dwelling, and that includes any new extension or alteration. So what's the solution? The solution is not automatically replacing everything. The solution is assessing whether the current system meets the grade and category after the alteration. If it does not, upgrading the system across the dwelling is often the most straightforward route to compliance with Part B and BS 5839-6. To show you this, we upgraded the fire detection in this property, which had a large extension on the back and around the side. The property only had one smoke detector in place before the extension. The customer wants a full LD2 system, but with none of the floorboards taken up or any chopping in. No problem. For this, we are using FireAngel Specification Range of detectors, and for good reason. We can install these detectors and wire off the existing lighting points in the hallway downstairs, the landing, the loft, the kitchen, and a detector in the garden studio, which has an ill-placed battery system under a dartboard and a CO detector in the loft where the boiler is located. All we need is a permanent 230 volt supply, which we have taken from the lighting circuits. BS 5839-6 permits either an independent circuit at the consumer unit or a separately protected, regularly used lighting circuit. So using the lighting circuit is acceptable, providing it meets those conditions. But would you put the smoke detectors on a dedicated circuit? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so how do we make these detectors behave as one system? Well, the specification range allows us to install a smart RF module into each compatible alarm. That module enables wireless communication using FireAngel's Y-Safe2 protocol, while the alarm itself remains mains powered with sealed lithium battery backup, keeping us compliant with grade D1 requirements. Now, the important part is that these alarms do not automatically connect to each other. They have to be intentionally learned into a network, because it ensures the system you create is controlled and secure, rather than accidentally communicating with other devices nearby. And you don't want to know if your neighbour has accidentally burnt the toast. Once the module is fitted into the rear of the alarm, the device is ready to join a network. The pairing process begins by using this unit as the reference unit. The second alarm, which is mounted on its base plate, is powered on. On the rear of the reference unit, there is a Learn In button. When that button is briefly pressed and released, a red LED illuminates for approximately 5 seconds. That window is effectively an invitation for any FireAngel device to join that network. During that time, pressing the test button on the fire alarm sends the signal that establishes the link. If successful, the mounted alarm emits 2 cycles of 3 loud beeps, confirming communication between the devices. The red LED on the wireless module of the second alarm then flashes to confirm it has been successfully learned in. Additional alarms are then added in exactly the same way, and once one device is part of the network, it can be used as the reference point for the next. There is no need to pair every alarm individually to every other alarm. FireAngel's Smart RF network can support up to 50 devices within the compatible specification Smart RF range. FireAngel also offers a gateway which can monitor the connected alarms and CO devices. It can provide notifications of faults, loss of power, or activation events, and adds an additional layer of oversight and reassurance for the occupier. But how do you connect these devices if the existing property is hardwired interlinked and the extension is going to be RF? Well, quite easily actually. The 2 detectors in the hallway and landing are interlinked, and we're changing these to FireAngel's multi-alarms. The hallway detector has a smart RF module installed. The landing doesn't need it. So if the detector in the extension was to sound, this would activate the smart RF receiver in the hallway, which, via an interlink, would activate the landing and any other detector hardwired in. This is called a hybrid or a mixed system. So do you have to upgrade all of the fire detectors when extending a property? Not automatically. But if the extension changes escape routes, increases story height, creates inner room arrangements, or introduces inconsistencies within the detection system, the fire strategy must be reassessed. And where the required grade or category increases, the system must evolve to meet BS 5839-6 and Part B. If you've had similar upgrades or had building control challenge the scope of your upgrades, then I'd love to hear your stories. And if you want to find out more about FireAngel's specification range and their pro installer network, then be sure to hit the links in the description.